then files, some reading and writing operations on files. We have seen some another operations regarding files. Now in today's session, we are going to continue with some remaining operations regarding files and with directories and streams. Okay, so the another operations on files, that is getting information, getting file information. So syntax for that, this is the syntax for getting the information related file, getting the information about file. So syntax is fs, that is fs module, fs dot stat, stat, inside bracket parameters are path and callback. Path and callback, the path is the name of that file as a string or full path of that file, and the callback is, that is error or that data, that is if that is there any error, it will show that error, or if is the that operation performed successfully, then it will give the message that that operation performed successfully. Then another one is closing a file. We should close the file when we open the file. So for that, syntax is to close that open file, fs dot close, inside the bracket fd, that is file descriptor and that callback. Near that fd is, this is the file descriptor written by the file fs dot open method. This is the file descriptor that is that is opened by fs dot open method. Then the callback, as I said, that callback is the function with no arguments other than a possible exceptions are given to the completion callback. Empty function we can pass here as a callback, that is fs dot close, inside the bracket, that is file descriptor and callback. So these are two functions for getting the file information, that is fs dot stat, and for closing a file, fs dot close. Then here you can see some methods with their descriptions, that is stats dot is file. This function will return true if file type of a simple file. If that file is simple, then it will return true. Then another is stats dot is directory. It will return true if that file is, or the type of that file is a directory. Then stats dot is block device. It will return true if that file type of a stats dot character device. It will return true if that file type of a character device. These are some methods that we can use with the file or that directory. Another one is stats dot is symbolic link. It will return true if that file type is a symbolic link. Then another method one is stats dot is FIFO. It will return true if that file type of a FIFO, that is first in first out. Then another method is stat dot is socket. Its socket method is for networking purpose, that is it returns true if that file type of is a socket. So another method for performing operations on file is truncate a file. So truncate means we are going to remove the data from that file, not we are completely deleting that file. So that this is the syntax for truncate an open file. Here fs dot f truncate. See the syntax, fs dot f truncate, inside the bracket file descriptor as a parameter, then length of that file and the callback functions. Okay, so these are the parameters for f truncate function. Then see the description regarding that parameter. So that is fd here, that fd is file descriptor written by fs dot open file open method. Then length, len, this is the length of the file after which the file will be truncated, length of that file when that file will be truncated. Then the callback is the function with no arguments other than a possible exceptions are given to the completion callback. We are going to write the empty function. So this is the syntax for truncating a file. Then now we are proceeding with the directories. Now till now we have seen operations regarding files. Okay, so now we are moving towards directory. So how to create a directory? So there is a syntax for creating a directory, that is fs.mkdir, that is make directory. it having some parameters like path, mode, and callback. So that path means this is the directory name including the path where the directory is saved. This is the path of that directory and the directory name. And mode means this is the directory permissions to be set. By default, it is 0777. All operations read, write, execute. Okay. Then callback. This is the another function for callback. So that a syntax for creating a directory is fs.mkdir. Inside the bracket, give the name of that directory and the mode for the directory and callback function. Here we are going to see the example for how to create a directory here. So here let us create a JavaScript file name main.js. Here see the example for creating a directory. First we have to import that fs module using require function like where fs equals to require inside the bracket fs. Then print one message that console.log going to create a directory and the path that we are going to create a directory name test. Okay, inside the temporary directory. Then how to create this directory? By using fs.mkdir. Use that mkdir method from fs module, that is fs.mkdir. Inside the bracket pass the parameter as first path of that directory with the name here in single quote slash temporary folder, then the name of the directory, that is test, and pass a callback function, that is function inside the bracket error. If is there any error, it will return console.error. If is there any error, it will return that error. Otherwise, print the message that directory created successfully. So how to run the sample code? Just go to command prompt and write node that file name like main.js and verify the output that it will print. First it will print that message going to create a directory, and after that if it is successfully created, it will print the message like directory created successfully. So by using mkdir function we can create a directory. This is the example for creating directory. Then how to read a directory? Similarly, like files, we have to read the directory. For that, syntax is fs dot read dir, read directory. Fs dot read dir. Inside the bracket, path of that directory and the callback functions. So path means the directory name, including the complete path of that directory, and callback. Now callback is here. It is the function which gets two arguments like error comma files, where files is an array of the names of that files in the directory excluding the dot, that is means a root directory and the double dot. Here that means the callback contains that error message or the files, the number of files present in that directory. While if we are going to read the directory, that may possible that the directory contains one or more files. Okay, so see the example for that. Similarly, we are going to create one file like name that file as a main.js, and first import that fs module like where fs equals to require using require function, where fs is equals to require fs, then semicolon, then print a message like using console.log that we are going to read directory. Which directory we are going to read? Here temporary. Okay, so fs dot read dir function, use fs dot read directory function of fs module. Inside the bracket pass the parameter as the path of that file here, and write a callback function like function inside the bracket error comma files. Okay, here files means it will check that files within that directory. Then if is there any error, return that error. Otherwise print, or after reading that directory, print that files. Here files dot for each function file. Here files means files dot for each directory or for each file, it will write a function